Hello, and welcome to the next installment of our Saratech Enablement Series. My name is Monique Anderson. I'm the Marketing Coordinator here at Saratech, and I will be your host today. Presenting today, we have Kelsey Safar, who is an Application Engineer here at Saratech, and she'll be teaching us about licensing in NX, Solid Edge, and FEMAP. But first, I just want to tell you a little bit about the Saratech Enablement Series that we've had great success with. We usually run about 30 to 45 minutes, and our training is always led by subject matter experts. We cover topics including FEMAP, NX, Solid Edge, Team Center, and much more. Be sure to check out our website for dates and times, which may vary in the coming months due to customer feedback. Our goal for the Saratech Enablement Series is to help you get the most out of your software, to share knowledge amongst each other, and to build a community of users that will help empower each other. As always, this is an open forum, and we look forward to you participating in the training. If you have questions or comments during this presentation, please type them in the chat box, and I will kindly interrupt Kelsey and let her know your comments and questions. And with that, I will pass the baton to Kelsey. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Safar and I'm an applications engineer here at Saratech. Some background information about me is that I've been here for about a year now, and I've graduated from University of California, Irvine with a double major in mechanical and aerospace engineering with a minor in material science. So with that, we'll continue on. So the stuff that we're going to go over today, we're going to go over what's the differences between Knobloch versus floating, and then how you can get those licenses. So with the computer information that you'll need to, the information you'll need to install and get those licenses. And then after you have your license, how you are going to install FEMAP, Solid Edge, and NX for its respective Knobloch or floating licenses. And the second to last thing is setting up the license server, which is we get a lot of questions about, so we're going to go through. And the final remarks. So a lot of problems or issues that we find with users and their licenses, and how you can go back and figure out what certain things you'll need for your setup. And just for clarification, we do have this presentation up online. So if you do have any questions about licensing and maybe it's after our business hours or whatnot, you can go back to this video and you can see maybe if you are having any certain problems, and you can find solutions right here. So going into the Knobloch versus floating licenses. So the main difference is that the Knobloch is specifically locked to one specific machine or a USB dongle. So we'll talk about dongles a little bit later on, but there are differences between FEMAP and Solid Edge dongles. Okay, so floating licenses is that a license server hands out all the available licenses that you do purchase through Saratech, and it sets them out to the client machines within the same network using the FlexLM license manager, as what a lot of you guys know as LM tools. Now for FEMAP, you will get or you will purchase a USB dongle, and that'll allow FEMAP to run on any machine. So that's for Knobloch. But for floating with FEMAP, it is specific to a license file that is locked to a MAC address, and now that is the 12-digit address that we'll talk about later in the computer information, but that's the 12-digit code of the license server. So not the client machine, it's of the license server. So for Knobloch licenses of Solid Edge, the license file is locked to an SCCID, which is also known as a Solid Edge Composite ID. And in the computer information, we'll talk about how we get that specific code. And then for Solid Edge floating, the license file can either be locked to a USB dongle. So this is when I was talking about FEMAP's Knobloch is with a USB dongle, but Solid Edge floating can either also be with a USB dongle or to that 12-digit MAC address or physical MAC address of the license server. Okay, so that's, again, license server, not the client. And going to NX, so NX is pretty unique because it needs a licensed server for its Knobloch, but it comes in its entire package. So like I said, it still requires a FlexLM license manager. So kind of a good way to think about it is that if you are node locked and you're only working on your computer is essentially working as a server and as a client together. So the license server machine can be a machine on any network and can even be its client itself. And NX will need the composite host ID of the license server, and the features are locked to the MAC address of the clients. Now for floating, what you'll need is a license file that is locked to a composite host ID of the license server. So that can get a little confusing, but like I said, you can just go back to our YouTube video and you can see it clearly defined here on the slides. Okay, so how do you get the computer information? So with FEMAP floating and solid edge floating, you'll need the following. You'll need the 12-digit physical MAC address and the host name, also known as the computer name. So to get these, all you simply have to do, and it runs on all Windows computers, you just run the command prompt and you'll type in, if you see right here, the ipconfig all. So once you open the command prompt, you'll get the C drive and it'll go, and then you'll just need to type in the ipconfig/all. And it'll once you hit enter, it'll automatically output all your computer's information, and under the Windows IP configuration, you'll find your host name. And now a lot of computers have different physical addresses, and that's the 12-digit code, but the one that you'll use for importing your license is the Ethernet adapter Ethernet. So make sure that when you do give Saratech your physical address, it's that one. Okay, moving on, we have a solid edge node locked, and you can find the SEC ID, also known as solid edge composite ID, by just running the solid edge license files, and then once you have that in your computer, you just go down to licensing under license utility, and this window will pop up. Once this window pops up, you'll see the ID in the upper right hand corner, and that'll come up consistently. And we'll talk about what happens with SCCIDs at the very end with final remarks. So moving along, computer information continued for NX. So NX for floating and node locked, you will need a license server's composite host ID and the host name. So the composite host ID sounds familiar with the one with solid edge, but if you don't have solid edge, there's no worries. You have the getCID executable, which is the application, and so that runs with the DVD files that you'll get from Saratech, and all you have to do is run the getCID program, and this window will pop up. It's this black window right here, and the host name is the Saratech example, and then the composite ID is to the left with the physical address is to the right, the MAC address. Another way that you can also get this information is by running the launch application, and you just go, and then this will come up, and then you'll see it says get composite host ID, and just like before, you'll get this number. So moving along, how you install FEMAP when it's node locked. So like we said before, you'll get a dongle with a serial number that must be registered, initially registered with Siemens through us, so through Saratech. And so once that's registered, you'll start to install your files. So you download all the files that you'll receive through the Saratech's Applications Engineer, and you'll run the setup application from the main folder that you'll find. And when you're running a dongle, don't forget to run this application through the Senio driver folder, which is part of the folders that you'll get. Don't forget to insert that USB dongle, and then you'll generate the license file with these access codes. And the next slide will show this license file. But once you open up FEMAP, you will get something similar to this. However, these options, like all these buttons, will not be available until you upload your license. So the way you do that is you just click in help, scroll down all the way down to about, and then about to security, and you'll get this window. And this to the right is a demo file of a dongle for FEMAP license file, and you'll see that there's two activation codes or access codes. The first one being the first access code, and the second one being the one right here. Make sure you don't mix those up. The first one is aptly the first one. So continuing on, that's all you'll need for FEMAP node locked. For FEMAP floating, you'll you'll need the following: the host ID, also known as a 12-digit physical MAC address of the licensed server. And this also needs to be registered through Siemens, through Saratech, and then we'll send it along to Siemens. And the second thing you'll need to know is a host name of the licensed server. So if you're installing it and you're the client, what you'll need to do is download the installation file, run the setup, and then you'll, just like before, right here, you'll go through FEMAP, File, About, Security, and then instead you'll get this, this window, and under license file, all you have to do is type @ and then the license server host name. Obviously, you don't type in, you know, LICNCE. You'll type in, you know, your license server's host name. And then if you are the computer that is, or if you're the machine that's showing or distributing the licenses, you're the license server machine, what you're going to do is you're going to run this application, the setup application, install the FlexLM license manager feature, and then for that we have our own separate section for the license manager, so we'll discuss that a little bit later. So going on to Solid Edge. Solid Edge for Knobloch, the one thing that you'll definitely need is a Solid Edge composite CID. And that, like we said, you can find that through its own program, through the license utility. But don't make sure that you register it using your WebKey account through Saratech or through Saratech. So how you install it? Don't forget to install or to save your license locally. You're going to download the installation file and run the auto start application. And then once you run it, you're going to get this window to the right, and you're going to select Solid Edge. And then once that downloads through all the defaults, you're going to go to licensing, and then you're going to open up this license utility. And then continuing on, this license utility will have these options for you, and then you're going to select I have a license file. So you should have a license file that looks something similar to the right. It's a Knobloch license. As you can tell, you can see all the features that you have. And then if the license is not permanent, you're going to have a date that indicates emergency or a trial license. So that's pretty much straightforward. For floating, we're going to go a little bit slower because there is a lot of information here. So what's needed to generate a new license for floating? You'll need the host name of the license server. So that's like the computer name. And the unique host ID method, which is this 12-digit physical MAC address of the license server. It's needed, and it must also be registered or changed with Siemens through Saratech. And then just like how FEMAP had the USB dongle for Knobloch, Solid Edge has an option of a floating USB dongle as well. So if the product is a dongle method, the serial number must be registered through Siemens, with Siemens through Saratech. And you'll download the installation file to install it. And if you are the license server machine, you must edit the Solid Edge .dat license file. So you're going to be getting a license file that is exactly like this, se-license.dat, and you're going to utilize a program called Notepad or any program editing feature that you'll like. You can use Windows Visual Studio, but a lot of people just use Notepad. And to edit this license, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find that for a floating license, you'll always have a line that says server and this host. So this is what you'll need to change to your license server's host name. And then what's in the green is that this is for a particular dongle setup. If it wasn't a dongle, you'll find that the physical address would be shown instead. And then the 27001 is just a port number that IT can change, or if that's necessary. But moving along, once you save the updated license file, what you're going to do is that you're going to run the auto start application, and then save it, and then, oh sorry, not save it, you're going to run the license manager and then browse. So if you see right here, go to license manager and then browse to the license when it's prompted. And then, or if you're using the dongle, this is when you would plug it in. Or If you are the client, instead, you'll just run the auto start application, run Solid Edge. So this one, where you're going to run Solid Edge. And then you're going to open up Solid Edge, go to Start, Solid Edge License, and then License Utility. Kind of just like how if you were trying to find the SEC ID, it's right here in the upper right-hand corner. But instead of saying I have a license file, what you're going to say is that I have the license server name. And it's just as simple as writing down the name of your license servers. So that's pretty much it for Solid Edge. Going into NX, so floating and Knobloch licenses require the same items. So generating a new license file, all these must be registered or changed with Siemens using a WebKey account or through Saratech. So in the final remarks, we'll talk about things that can change the following. But from the license server, this is what you'll need: the host name or computer name or the composite CID. As we said before, Solid Edge runs a CID also, but if you're not running Solid Edge, NX has its own application that you can use to find your CID and all the following. And then for the Knobloch seats, what you'll definitely need is that 12-digit code, the physical MAC address of the clients, not of the license server. It's one of the clients. So because NX utilizes its own license server, what you need to ensure that the network is fully up and running. So to do that, you'll need to ensure that the TCP IP network services are running on not just the license server, but also the client machines. So to do that, you'll do the following. Go ahead and press the start and go navigate to the control panel. Once you get to there, you go to the network and sharing center and that's the first picture seen here in step 1. And then once you see that in your left-hand corner, or this is for Windows 10, you'll see the change adapter settings, which is step 2. Click on that, and then you'll navigate to the Wi-Fi that you're running. Right-click, and then go all the way down to Properties, select Properties, and this Wi-Fi Properties window will pop up. And it's pretty easy to navigate. All you have to do is find the TCP IP boxes, and there's 2 of them, so the version 4, version 6, make sure both of them are checked. Once you ensure that your network is running smoothly, you're going to download the installation files. So installing on the license server machine, what's nice is that NX has its own complete like license server GUI, so it's easy to manage. So what you're going to do is you're going to open the license file that you received through Saratech, and then you're going to open using your favorite program editing feature. We like to use Notepad, and then confirm that the hostname and the composite ID that you gave us is correct, and you hit save locally. And then from the NX installation, you're going to launch the launch application, and then you're going to install the license server. So that's the first button right here. And then, or what we highly recommend is that since NX uses its own SPLM license server, it's always best to have the most updated version. So the one that I most recently know, right now it's October 5th right now, but the updated one is probably going to change later. The one that I know is most updated is 8.2.5, 8.2.5.2. So you're going to download that, and it's easy to get the most updated SPLM license server. You can either contact your local applications engineer here at Saratech through support@saratech.com, or you can even go through the Siemens download folder yourself. So once you have the most updated license server, you can don't forget to run as administrator, and then just go through the complete license server installation, and it's going to look through here. You're probably going to just choose all the defaults until you get the license file. So you have to make sure that you click choose and select the license file that you saved locally. The SPLM 8 license file doesn't technically exist until you click choose and run this. So once you run it, then both files should be identical, but you have to make sure that you choose the original license file that we gave you with the host name and the composite ID. So going on, we have for the client machines, you won't need to install the license server if you're just the client. What you will do is that you'll launch the launch application, and then instead of hitting install license server, you will just install NX. And then you're going to run through the same files or the same license GUI, and then instead you edit the correct hostname of the license server when prompted. So the 28,000 is the port number that IT will have, but it's pretty much it's going to probably be 28,000 at the license server hostname that you gave Saratech. And then once that's done, you're going to open through Start. You're going to finally run NX, go to the licensing tool, and then you have to ensure that you pick the right bundle that should be available for the client. So under the bundle settings, you're going to go through available bundles, select the ones that the client will use. Don't forget to click this right arrow to make sure that you essentially make sure that NX recognize that, and also make sure you click apply. Once that's done, you'll probably be totally fine with NX licensing. So a lot of people do have problems with their license servers. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Maybe the network isn't running, or maybe something crashed and now your license server can't connect to your license. This is the way how you would either set up or fix that. So the first thing you do is you have to go through LM tools, and if you have FEMAP, Solid Edge, or NX, this is how you do it. So to the further left hand, we have FEMAP. Where you're going to go through Start, All Programs, select FEMAP, and then go through the FlexLM License Manager, and that will pull up LM tools. If you have Solid Edge, what you're going to do is you're going to go through your C drive, and then you're going to select the SC Flex folder, go to Program, and then scroll all the way down to LM Tools, and that application will come up. And then for NX, you're going to go through your start file to All Programs to the Siemens PLM license server, and that's going to be the one that's either the most updated one, and then go to LM Tools. And then all those should lead you to this window, LM Tools by the Software LLC. So the second thing that you do is go to the Services License tab, and you'll always configure using the services, and in this box right here you'll find your license manager. So make sure you select the one that you're using, and then setting up the actual license server. So for FEMAP, you're going to have to set this up from scratch, but Solid Edge and NX users, this should all already automatically be filled in. So under the Configure Services tab, you're going to click the services name box right here, and you can, if you're a new FEMAP services or whatnot, you can just edit that. But you're going to go through these 3 pathways. The first one being LM Grid, the application, and then for FEMAP, it's shown here. It's the installation media at this location. And then the second one is a license file. So we always recommend copying and pasting it to the same directory where all your other files would be. And then the third one is you're going to set the path for the debug log file. If you don't have one, just create a text file like so, if needed, also in the same directory. And then ensure that these buttons are on, that they're checked for Start Server App Power Up and Use Services. And last but not least, you have to make sure that you save the services, and then a window will pop up, and just click Yes at prompt. It's just a regular, Windows window that will come up. And then number 4, you're going to click the Start, Stop, Reread tab, and you want to make sure that you give the LM tools some time between each button click. So you say Stop Server, and then Start, and then reread the license file, and at the end you should see at the very bottom a status bar of saying what license file it's using, and it says that if for some reason it says unable to stop server, try to click Force Server Shutdown. If that's still not working, make sure that all the steps 1 through 4 that you've followed them correctly. continuing on. Last, we do the server status tab. You have to make sure that everything's running fine. So just go ahead and just click this one button, perform status inquiry, and if what the results should show the numbers of licenses that are being used. If not, make sure that all steps 1 through 5 are valid. So, final remarks. So for newly purchased seats for completely clean computers, some problems that we might find are that the information, ranging from the dongles, from the SCC IDs, or all the following haven't been registered, so make sure you do that using your WebKey account or through Saratech. Otherwise, you're probably going to need another temporary license file, or your temporary license file has expired. For previously running licenses, you probably either need to install newer software or you need to upgrade to the latest license file. For all the floating licenses, you need to, like I said, make sure that you upgraded the license file, but you also need to make sure that the license manager installation is up to date. So for example, like an NX floating license, maybe your license file is correct, but your SPLM license file isn't up to date. That's why we always want to make sure that it's the most updated one. Or another problem that we sometimes find is that the license manager directories aren't being allowed through the firewall / antivirus security. So make sure that for the following, for Solid Edge, FEMAP, and NX, these are allowed through your firewall. And then for FEMAP Knobloch, remember the Knobloch for FEMAP is a dongle, a USB dongle. You have to make sure that those 2 access codes are of the latest license file. And for FEMAP floating, you have to ensure that what you gave Saratech is updated. So ensure that, every time something changes, you let us know so we can give you the most updated license file for your programs to run. And then for Solid Edge Knobloch, like we said, your SCC ID must be updated, and any hardware like graphics card or hard drive or anything for like a Windows user changes, this could change the SCC ID. So if that happens, make sure that you double check your SCC ID and let us know so we can update it for you. And then for Solid Edge floating, and so you'll have a USB dongle. You won't have to have it, but if you do, make sure that the hostname is updated, or maybe you just forgot to plug in the dongle, so make sure you do that. Second to last, your Solid Edge floating unique host ID method. Just like before, make sure the host name and the 12-digit MAC address is updated with us. And then with NX, it's kind of like everything. Make sure everything is updated. And then with the graphics card, make sure that the composite ID is up to date. And also, don't forget the bundling. Ensure that you have NX showing that you selected the certain bundles. So that is a lot of information, but like we said, all this information is located on Saratech's YouTube website. So if you do have any problems, or if you kind of forgot something, just go ahead and check out this video, and you can pause it and then reread any of the slides. But with that, I'll take it back to Monique.
Awesome. Excellent presentation, Kelsey. Thank you. And to our attendees, if you're ready to take it to the next level, we offer hands-on training and classes for software users of all levels. We also provide engineering services to address your demand for your advanced engineering capabilities. And also to everyone, we will be posting this video to YouTube later today, like Kelsey said. So please feel free to pass along to your friends and colleagues, and be sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn just to learn new webinar dates and topics. And if you could stick around for about 15 seconds afterwards to fill out the survey, let us know how we did, what you liked. And thank you again so much, everyone, for attending. Have a great rest of your day.